All right, shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation. Big ups to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the show. Much love to the fam. Appreciate y'all for joining us in this episode of The Coma. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and by all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. We up in this thing. Big Q representing the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. Listen, we got one for y'all today. And it's talking about the Saints going into the draft, right? We're getting ready for the draft. And this is something that's really positive as we look to kind of retool. The Saints have 8 picks, 5 picks in the first 4 rounds, which is big, man. Really solid picks that we have this year. We can really address some depth needs and really add to what has been a fantastic free agency period for the black and gold. But in this one, the Saints are looking at Toledo standout defensive back Andre Fuller for the secondary. Could this guy be an Alontae Taylor replacement? So anyway, let's delve into it. Shout out to Yard Barker with the scoop. The Saints aren't wasting any time addressing the crater, they called it, left by Alontae Taylor's departure after Taylor inked a massive deal with the Titans last week. The Saints front office shifted towards the 26th NFL draft. Jacob Infante of PFSN reports that the New Orleans Saints held a formal meeting with Toledo cornerback Andre Miller, who's a rising name who could solve the team's looming depth crisis. I won't say it's a depth crisis, but goddamn. But it could definitely help. So the post-Taylor reconstruction period, losing Taylor hurts. He was a versatile glue for a unit that leaned heavily on his ability to flip between the slot and the boundary. While the Saints are excited about the trajectory of Kool-Aid McKinstry and Quincy Riley, the cupboard is thin behind them, and this is true. Meeting with Fuller suggests the Saints are looking for size and length to complement the young duo. Fuller, who's a 6'2", 200-pound corner, offers physical profile that the Saints usually covets in its DB situation. Now, Fuller's journey to the draft board is a story of resilience after a sports hernia forced him to miss the entire 24 season. Now, he bounced back on the scene in 25. He earned his first team All-MAC honors. He racked up 49 tackles, had 11 pass breakups, and at the NFL Scouting Combine last month, he solidified his stock with a 4.49 40-yard dash time and a 10-foot broad jump. A 10'9" broad jump. The stadium energy was electric as scouts noted his fluidity as the player of his size. He says, according to an anonymous Saints defensive veteran, we lost a big piece of our identity with Alontae moving on, but the standard in this room doesn't change. We need guys who can press, win at the line, and take the ball away. The front office is doing their homework to make sure we don't skip a beat. The draft strategy, as we bounce into that side of things, the Saints face a tactical crossroads. Do they hunt for a pure nickel replacement, or do they draft an outside corner like Fuller, a shifty veteran inside, or Fuller? Do they do that? Now, I've talked about this before, family, about the Saints possibly shifting a veteran or a backup plan for the Saints band for them to use, like a guy like Jordan Howden, for example, as the nickel back. Could there be a plan that the Saints could be possibly looking at? We don't know. It's just some bantering about and just a thought process on the Saints understanding they knew they were going to eventually lose Alontae Taylor. What would be the plan outside of free agency, which we don't think free agency is going to be that. We know they brought Blackman back. I don't think he fits in that signature. But also the draft, there are several players that could be that. If the Saints are at number 8 and a certain defensive back from Ohio State's available, he fits that to a T. So is that the Saints game plan? Well, we shall see. All right, now speaking about this particular player and Mr. Fuller, his aggressive hands at the line of scrimmage mirror the bump and run philosophy the Saints have perfected over the last decade. While the Saints moving to Pittsburgh this April, the Saints hold the number 8 pick. While the draft moves to Pittsburgh this April, the Saints hold the number 8 overall pick, though Fuller is currently projected high upside in day 2 and as well as a day 3 target. I see him as a late 2 somewhere along in day 3. If New Orleans could snag him in the middle rounds, would allow them to use their premium capital on an edge rusher or a target for second-year quarterback Tyler Shuck. The chilly wind of free agency may have blown Taylor to Nashville, but the Saints appear ready to rebuild with fresh and hungry talent. Now, of course, the Saints defense last year being heavily veteran-clad with guys like Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, and Alontae Taylor positioned in areas of the defense. Now it could be a sea change. It's definitely a sea change with Alontae Taylor out, Demario Davis going to the Jets, and Cam and the Saints at odds in terms of contract. This could set up a whole new situation altogether. So anyway, Andre Fuller is a very interesting defensive back for the Saints, and it'll be interesting to see what he has. Let me kind of share with you guys the scouting report on Andre Fuller according to the NFL Combine. All right, this is Andre Fuller's draft card as far as the NFL Combine. This is they got him listed. His number at 5.69. This is the prospect grade they usually give you. The next gen stats average his overall at 76%. And they list him as a candidate for bottom of roster or practice squad player. Now, like I said, some have him a late second, third round grade. I think a lot of that is due because of his size. When you have a cornerback that's 6'1", 6'2", 200 pounds, physical cornerback, did really well in the 40 time, the 4.49 in the broad jump. Even the shuttle time was pretty good at 4.28 in the shuttle. It does kind of wake him up. It helped him having or doing well in the combine help elevate his stock a bit. So the overview is long press corner. We talked about this NFL caliber size, capable of delaying and redirecting the release, but lack of makeup speed creates problems when he gets out of the gate poorly against speed in man coverage. But Fuller might need the scheme to do some work with him. Cover 2 and deep zone coverages allow for the best use of Fuller's size and length while minimizing pattern matches in space. If he can become more of a dedicated tackle, a conversion to safety could be a consideration, which is why the Saints could be looking at him because remember Alontae Taylor had this attraction to him in terms of him being a tweener type defensive back where you can use him at corner or safety. Remember when they drafted him, I don't want to say he was an insurance policy, but that's basically what he was for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who was under contract negotiation at the time, right? And the idea if Chauncey would have signed his contract with the Saints would have kept him in a nickel position, and they would have used Alontae Taylor as a safety. That was the game plan at the time. So some of the strengths: big, long, strong from press positioning, patient feet, allowing release, fakes declare, able to widen out release with long punch. And the weaknesses would be late reaching and press slows, takes off, departure to flip and run, stiff hips. In other words, hips and feet aren't wired for matching complex routes. Struggles staying connected to route, breaks from tail. We could be shaken easily. Lack of top end speed showed against Kentucky. Rarely finds the football with back to action, which means he need to turn his goddamn head around. But like I said, this guy has potential. It could be somebody the Saints look to in the later rounds. But regardless of how the scouts at the NFL Combine feel about him, the Saints scouts had an opportunity, and the Saints are making no time. They were able to kind of meet with this man as the Saints continue to try to get their big board together. And Andre Fuller, make no bones about it, is on the radar. So with that being said, what do y'all think about Andre Fuller? His potentiality at the star role is obviously what the Saints are looking at with his physicality, his makeup. What do you guys think about Fuller? Y'all fill in the chat. Let me know. Shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the show. Y'all get y'all prop bets in at FanDuel. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Feel free to share the show on your social media feed for more content and notifications on the Saint contact. Hit that notification bell, fam, and there will be a lot coming your way coming up soon. Shout out to our Patreon and YouTube membership champion. We got a latest episode of TSC Q&A coming up later on today or tomorrow. I have that, guys. That'll be rolling out real soon for y'all, man. But so be on the lookout for that. So with that being said, I'm gonna get on the pod here. I appreciate y'all, man. I'm holler at you on the next one. Much love, peace, and who that.
Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gonna beat
Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the Riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with the WhoDatDaily.com, your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit the WhoDatDaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic, NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below or in the chat.